Sean, I wanted to share something with you. I don't know if you remember the person that we met at your open house, and she did ultimately call, and I was talking to her about a pre-approval. I actually met them in person, which we really don't do very often. And she sent me a listing on a house that she wanted to see. And after I told her she could afford it, and I said, "Who's your agent? You need to find an agent so that you can go see the house."
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't understand what the buyer representation is and how she's going to have the opportunity to go see houses that aren't currently like an open house situation.
Right.
And so I was wondering if you could share with me so I could tell her what she has to do so she can now start looking at houses.
Right.
She needs an agent.
Yeah. So I remember the day that we met her, I have this booklet that I
That's
give,
right.
people that come in my open house, what is going on in today's market, what you need to be a successful buyer. And in the state of Maryland, and honestly nationwide, like things changed about a year ago,
Right.
you need to have a signed representation agreement to show a buyer a house. So, like if they come into my open house, that's fine. I can show them the house, I represent the seller. But if they want to go see houses,
Right.
an agent has to discuss with them what is buyer agency. Look, you have to sign this agreement if you want to see a house and if you want me to represent you. I mean, you certainly have your choice of who you want to choose as an agent. So the buyer agency agreement, it's a contract. It has a beginning date, it has an ending date, it has the parties to the contract, me as your buyer's agent, you as the buyer.
So if they were really concerned about, entering to some kind of commitment, you could limit that commitment till just that house or just that day or whatever, just to
Yeah.
allow somebody
Mm-hmm.
who's just getting started to
Mm-hmm.
kind of dip their toe in the water and go see houses. Because she sent me this listing and I said, "Yes, you can afford this." I ran the numbers, I sent her a loan estimate. She was like, "Wow, that's great, let's go see it." I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"I can't do that for you. Now you have to get an agent."
Right.
And I even looked before I made that comment because there was no open house scheduled for
Mm.
the weekend or something like that that would
Mm-hmm.
have given her an opportunity to go see it on her own
Mm-hmm.
without necessarily being represented. And that's, the takeaway that I had for that was this woman needs to understand the next step and make a commitment. But I think that it's difficult for her to make a commitment. So maybe the answer is she could agree to see that house only and
Mm-hmm.
enter into a broker agreement for that.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like if people knew that, they would be less intimidated or nervous about signing something. Because, of course, everybody on the planet says, "Well, don't ever sign anything with anybody."
Right.
Well, that has to change.
Because now you're committed, but no, a buyer agency has a beginning date, it has an end date, but there's also a termination clause.
Right.
Like say we talk and we sign the agreement for a month. Say if after a month you decide you change your mind, like you don't want to buy, or like we just don't mesh, like
Right.
we don't get along. There's a termination clause in the buyer agency agreement that says you can terminate this with X amount of hours notice.
Right.
Like give me notice, you can terminate.
I think if people knew that, they'd be more inclined to get out of the car and really start to look at houses because it's a great time to buy a house.
Yeah, so what people don't understand is they can call the listing agent, but the listing agent also has a signed representation agreement with their seller.
Sure. No, I definitely understand that. And I think if people understood who's working for who, they would want to seek out a buyer's agent for themselves.
And the buyer agency agreement covers all that.